Paul, just walk us through the latest developments, this time in the West Bank, it should be said, not Gaza.
Yes, so it was a pretty major raid by Israeli forces into the West Bank on very early Wednesday evening. At least 10 people were killed, according to Palestinian authorities, and 11 injured. The United Nations implied that some children were among those that were killed in the clashes. Israel says it was going after what it calls terrorist militants, and it's been saying in recent months that there's a growing problem in the West Bank. It claims that Iranian arms are getting into the West Bank through Jordan. It's very difficult to corroborate that, what they're saying. But anyway, they're increasingly worried about the West Bank. There has been a lot of concern about these raids from the international community. The EU said that it did not want to see these raids effectively amount to an extension of the conflict in Gaza to the West Bank. So that's what they're worried about. Around the same time as these raids, or shortly afterwards, late yesterday, the U.S. actually sanctioned two settler groups, groups of Jewish settlers in the West Bank. It effectively said that these groups are carrying out violence towards Palestinians. The Israeli government hasn't said too much yet, but it did put out a statement implying that it wasn't happy with the U.S. and that Netanyahu said that he was in pointed discussions with the Americans about these. So all these things are going on in the West Bank, and violence
and to what extent
rising.
Is what is happening in the West Bank likely to affect the situation in Gaza as well?
It's a good question, and it's difficult to tell. The West Bank has not been ignored since the war in Gaza began, but it's not been in the media too much. However, that's been changing, I think, in recent weeks because the IDF has been doing more raids. There have been more clashes between Jewish settlers and Palestinians in the territory. And in some ways, the West Bank has been in turmoil since October as well. Obviously, nothing like what we're seeing in Gaza, but more than 600 Palestinians have died in clashes with Israeli forces or Jewish settlers. So there's a big problem there. And I think it just adds, what we're seeing now in the West Bank just adds to the general tension, not just in Israel and the Palestinian territories, but in the broader region. And if anything, it's not going to calm the situation between Israel and the likes of Hezbollah.
I was just going to say it's quite a jarring juxtaposition because on one hand we talk about ongoing ceasefire discussions, the fact that on Sunday after the Israel-Hezbollah attacks, Israel still sent a delegation to Cairo to continue along with these discussions, and yet we are hearing of more violence in the West Bank, more day-to-day attacks in Gaza as well. And so it raises a question as to how serious really these ceasefire discussions actually are.
Absolutely, and that's a crucial question. And on the surface, they are continuing. There were talks yesterday in Qatar between sort of low-level negotiators from Israel and Qatar and Egypt, two of the main mediators. But they don't seem to be making much progress. There's still big issues between the two sides, and fighting continues in Gaza. I think one thing that's important to note is that Prime Minister Netanyahu's office denied reports in Israeli media that came out late yesterday, saying that there'd been a pause in fighting in Gaza to allow polio vaccinations. Netanyahu's office said that was false. They implied there'd been sort of a pause in very small areas to start administering vaccinations, but essentially the war continues.